It's that spooky, scary time of year, Arbor Day, when we have to set aside our human rights to serve our tree overlords. Well, no more. No more, I say. Oh wait, no, it's Halloween. This review is yet another Patreon raffle review winner. And this is from Leaf Razor. If you would like to pick the next Media Mementos review, then donate to our Patreon in the link below. Once a month, we pick a winner to choose any review of their choice, with a couple exceptions. I'm not the cinema snob here, I don't do everything. But when I saw Leaf Razor's request, I was ecstatic. I have wanted to talk about this show since I very first began here. In fact, I wanted this to be my Halloween review. And sure enough, this is the one he picked. Funny how that works. What am I talking about? Making Fiends. Right up there with Robot Jones as one of the most mistreated and abused shows in animation history, at least over here in the West. Making Fiends has had a terrible production cycle with a bunch of deception, hollow motivation, and overall failure. And it's such a shame too that it happened to this show. But before I talk about what happened with its production and tragic release, let's discuss the show itself. What's it about? It's exactly what it says in the theme song.
Once there was a little girl, a girl who could make fiends. She kept the whole town terrified, the girl who could make fiends. Then there came another girl who wanted to be friends. Vendetta cannot stand her, so she plots her end.
Basically, this creepy, evil, green girl torments this town by creating monsters known as fiends. However, a nice, happy, smiley blue girl moves to town and tries to befriend Vendetta and her fiends. All the while, she has no idea that the fiends and Vendetta are evil. Her name is Charlotte, and all she really cares about is making sure that everybody's happy and full of fun. This started off as a web cartoon created by Amy Winfrey, and this show retained most everything from the original series, minus a couple small things that had to be toned down. After all, this was on children's network television. Technically speaking, it follows a formula, with Charlotte always getting across one fiend or one of Vendetta's evil schemes, and then wandering and blundering through it without having any idea. But it's an enjoyable formula. Unlike, say, Scooby-Doo, it's so loose that even if it does follow some kind of pattern, you don't really think about it. The fiends themselves and the scenarios in the town are just so entertaining and interesting. And our two lead characters are also show stealers. They are the perfect comedic duo. Total opposites of each other. Charlotte, bright, happy, sunny, everything is wonderful in the world. And Vendetta is the devil. What amazes me about Vendetta is that she is a terrible, horrible person, but we still like her as an audience. We're given enough time with her to understand her character and help sympathize with her at times, because sometimes Charlotte can be unbelievably annoying. But not to us, the audience, though. That's the key. Maybe it's just me, and the fact that I've always been rooting for the villain since my days of watching Wile E. Coyote chase that stupid Roadrunner, but I always kinda root for Vendetta and her little schemes. I want to see what would happen if she actually did manage to destroy Charlotte. Granted, she'd probably continue her tyrannical rule over the town, but I kinda want to see it happen. She's just charismatic and entertaining. Easily my favorite character in the show. But that's of course not saying that Charlotte is a bad character, no. Vendetta wouldn't be nearly as interesting without Charlotte. Charlotte is everything to Vendetta's character. That's her whole motivation. That's her whole drive. Her purpose for existing is to get rid of this stupid girl. Vendetta's words, not mine. So with all of this lined up, it seems like this would have been a big hit, right? You've got lovable characters, interesting concepts, an interesting art style. What could possibly go wrong? Alright, this was on Nickelodeon. This was one of the worst parts in Nickelodeon history. No, not when they removed the splat. No, that is still pretty bad though. This is the time where Nickelodeon thought, you know what? We are the SpongeBob network, and anything that isn't SpongeBob doesn't belong here. So they started yo-yoing with Butch Hartman and his Fairly OddParents show, but then they killed off everything else that wasn't SpongeBob or the Fairly OddParents. Yes, Jimmy Neutron ended because the studio went out of business, but odds are, with that fourth season, that probably would have been the last one. But say Cat Scratch, LT Gray, The X's, My Life as a Teenage Robot, all canned because they weren't SpongeBob. They couldn't match up to exactly or better than the numbers that SpongeBob had, so they had no purpose being on that network. I'll talk about this another day in one of the miniseries I'm planning called Versus the Network. For more information, see the Patreon description I have on that. Plug. And Making Fiends got the worst of it. So, let's start from the very beginning. Early on, one of the Nickelodeon executives' children saw Making Fiends and loved it. So they showed it to their parents, and the parents thought it would be pretty good. And hey, if the kids are already liking it, there's a built-in audience right there. Then they called up Amy Winfrey and said, maybe we'll greenlight your show, maybe we'll give you a chance, but first you gotta do some stuff for us. One of those things was allowing the original Making Fiends episodes to premiere on Nick.com. I can understand this though. This is to make sure that there's actually an audience there. Cause the last thing you want to do is heavily bank on a show that has no audience and no chance of being successful, right? It's not like I just talked about a show that went exactly through that, right? And exactly as expected, they had a large audience. They were very big hits. Then finally, after 3 years of negotiating terms and conditions with Nickelodeon, Amy had finally found something that she agreed with, signed the paper, and Making Fiends the series officially began production. There were only a handful of writers and a very small crew overall, but they made do with what they had. Even having a designated thinking couch for coming up with brand new ideas. The crew on board was very excited about this opportunity, and by October of 2008, the show was ready to debut on Nicktoons Network. Not Nickelodeon, Nicktoons Network, where all the Nickelodeon shows go to die. This was not part of the deal, but they did it anyways. So what it seems happened was Nickelodeon executives saw the final product and thought it was too dark for their main channel, or there was just a big executive switch up and all the people on board now didn't like it or got cold feet, because now Making Fiends was nowhere near the main channel. They pushed it off to Nicktoons Network, which seemed to happen to a couple other shows, branded as Nicktoons Network exclusives. Now that doesn't necessarily seem like a bad thing, right? It's still a Nickelodeon channel, but Nicktoons Network is a kind of secondary channel. Not everybody gets it. This is why when Nickelodeon wants to cancel a show, they don't outright cancel it these days. What they do is take all the remaining episodes, then shove them onto Nicktoons Network, knowing that on Nicktoons Network, they won't get good ratings, so they'll fade away. That's why the channel was mostly meant for reruns, not original shows. Yes, the Secret Show and Kappa Mikey were able to get some success, but that's pretty much it. Oh well, it's not like Nickelodeon's not gonna give it any advertisement or any press release, right? Oh wait, no, that's exactly what happened. Yeah, they just let it quietly drop onto Nicktoons Network, barely even giving it the time of day or any acknowledgement at all, played the episodes in about a month, and that was it. They canceled it. And you know what's a shame? The show was often one of Nicktoons Network's highest rated shows. It did very well. By Nicktoons Network standards, that is. On Nickelodeon standards, not at all. Therefore, it's not SpongeBob. Therefore, it can't survive. So goodbye Making Fiends, you get to die after just 6 episodes. 6 episodes. If this isn't the Nickelodeon version of Wonderfalls, then I don't know what is. But the story isn't over yet, no. Obviously, Amy can just go back to Making Fiends, pretending this whole show never happened. Nope. No, she can't do that. Now, because of the contract she signed, Nickelodeon owns Making Fiends. Nickelodeon owns Vendetta, Charlotte, The Fiends, The Hamster, everything. Amy Winfrey can't do anything on the show anymore. The last time we saw her characters, they were stranded in the middle of the ocean. So isn't that just swell? It almost seemed like a scam. This is almost certainly not the case, but hey, you never know. What if the Nickelodeon executive that wanted the show didn't actually want it as a show, but just wanted the properties, so that way they could make all of the money off of the rights and merchandise? So they pretended to greenlight an actual series, only to end up cutting it short and hogging the rights to themselves, leaving Amy with nothing. Like I said, probably not the case, but you never know. But regardless of its production history, I say Making Fiends is a great show. One of Nicktoons Network's best original shows. The characters are so likable and deranged, the art style is peculiar but interesting, and the concept is just a lot of fun. It wasn't really meant to be one of those big, successful mega shows like SpongeBob or The Loud House. It was just kind of a fun art project, and it really radiates off of the screen. Despite the fact that the crew was tiny, you could tell that they really cared about what they did. It's just too bad that the network didn't have similar feelings. Well, folks, that was Making Fiends, my Halloween video. Mwahaha. There's my evil laugh. I know it sucked. What'd you guys think of Making Fiends? What'd you guys think of that production history? Sad, isn't it? Comment below and let me know because I'm always excited to hear what you guys have to say. Next week, we're back. Back to what? Some high-bouncing Rayman hand-having excitement. Come on, guys. Together, we're better. I'll see you guys next time.